So Steve's guide, the first 5, has been going crazy. If you haven't heard of this yet, my brother wrote a kind of expose on me where he took an interview I did with Elvis Duran and took the first 5 minutes of it and broke it down step by step to show you what I was doing in that interview to have influence in that room. Well, since the reaction to that was so great, we decided that we would continue this theme just a little while longer. You guys have been so interested in the topics that are outside of just love life and are related to being amazing with people and being able to really transform your life that I thought I'd take it a step further. A lot of you enjoyed the format that my brother took, where he took the first 5 minutes of that interview and broke it down. You enjoyed the fact that you kind of got a play-by-play analysis of what I was doing. I thought I'd echo that in this week's video. Now, many of you remember I did a show a little while back called Ready for Love, a show that failed miserably. But one of the only redeeming factors, I think, of a failed TV show is that you still have the footage, and if you can find a way to make use of it, then that's useful. So in this week's video, I thought I'd take a clip from the show and show you what I did in that clip to avert danger, let's just say. Now, I'll preface this by saying that your worst moments in life can be turned into your best ones. Someone tried to eviscerate me in front of a live audience on TV. She tried to destroy my character, make me look awful, and she called into question certain things that in the past have really worried me. She decided to talk about my age and how I was extremely young. She started talking about how I was this self-proclaimed expert and how could I know all of these things. If you ever have confrontation in your life, if you ever have a situation that could be embarrassing for you, if someone ever attacks you or decides to try and discredit you publicly, this will be one of the most useful clips you'll ever watch. Learn from the experience that I've been through, which I hope you never have to go through, but can apply to your everyday life. So this is a first on the video blog this week. I hope you're excited. This is a big deal. We are going to break it down frame by frame, and we're doing it all from my Hollywood studio apartment. Let's go to camera 2. Here we are on the set of Ready for Love. Now, what you're about to see is a stage with a live audience. This is Amber Kelleher, my co-matchmaker. In a moment, you're about to see me. You're about to see me have an opinion about a woman named Taryn and how I didn't really approve of her in this point in the show, and I didn't like her connection with Ben, one of the guys, one of the bachelors ready for love. She didn't necessarily agree with my entire perspective on this matter, and in her own special, delicate way, told me to go f myself. One thing that is clear about Ben is he's someone that is extremely affectionate and he values someone who is really nurturing. Something that I haven't seen in you is a real nurturing nature. When I watch you two, I always feel like you're on the brink of being able to argue about something. There was this moment that really epitomized this for me where he said to you, I'm not pushing you to say anything you don't want to say. And you said, I'm not going to say anything you want me to say. And I immediately thought, if they were a month into a relationship, that's where two people start arguing. When I see you together, I always feel like we're on the brink of that. And that's what concerns me most of all.
How old are you, Matt? Because I'm pretty sure you're a self-proclaimed guru, and I think most gurus at anything are a lot older, and especially in love, usually you have to have many years under your belt, so you don't know everything.
Oh. Whoa. So, this is pretty much the worst nightmare of anyone on TV. I can tell you that if this had happened years before, especially at the beginning of my career, this would have destroyed me. I either would have gone completely red and embarrassed, I would have freaked out, I would have stumbled all over my words. Fortunately, this came at a time in my life when I felt much more centered and I knew how to deal with conflict, I knew how to deal with confrontation. So I had a different reaction to this. Here's what I did next. Taryn, thank you for proving my point. Okay, now in just a second we're going to watch the rest of this clip. There's just a little bit more. But before we do that, I want to go back for a second and break this down a little bit further. Okay, so get ready, watch this. This is where she goes on the attack. I want you to watch my body language and what I do before I even say anything.
How old are you, Matt? Because I'm pretty sure you're a self-proclaimed guru, and I think most gurus
What you'll see here is me being incredibly unreactive to the situation.
So you don't know everything.
I don't try and cut her off. I don't try and jump in midway through because all of those things would be very reactive. Instead, I choose, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to relax. I'm going to let this person finish. If you allow someone to keep talking, very often they'll trip themselves up on their own logic. They'll say something too passionate, too emotional, too erratic, and they'll hang themselves. Not only that, by the way, but as people are talking, you're giving yourself time to think of what to say next. Too often in life, people jump in, they react instantly, and they don't even have time to think. That's the only thing I might have changed. See, if I were to go back and redo anything in this scenario, I would have been even less reactive. Whilst she was saying all of that, I would have just sat there patiently and just nodded, or even not nodded. That part there where I put my hands up, I wouldn't have done. If you get very angry at someone and they're unmoved by it, you realize that you really don't hold any sway over that person. So that was my response before I even started talking. And you'll notice, by the way, you're influencing even when you're not talking, not just when you're saying something. But let's now see what I said.
Taryn, thank you for proving my point.
Here's what happens here. I'm looking for the least amount I can say that will get the maximum amount of impact. She's out-talked herself, she stopped. I now say Taryn, and I pause. Now that pause is something that I'm doing to show that I hold court right now. I'm owning the room right now. Taryn, pause. Thank you for proving my point. Now, of course, I say that because this person is now proving my point that there was something off about her. It wasn't just all sweetness and kindness. There was something else, another side. I'm able to have the most influence with the least amount of effort. And that's often what we're looking for when we're trying to influence people, when we're trying to hold court in a room. We're not trying to be the biggest, loudest, most obnoxious person all the time. That person doesn't have any real power because they're only powerful for as long as they're talking. And it was a conscious decision, by the way, in this moment, not to actually defend myself. Because rather than her saying, you're young, you're not credible, you don't have any knowledge, you've not been through anything, I don't engage in that battle. I just decide I'm going to break her state. The fact that I'm not defending myself shows that I must have some confidence in not needing to dispute the points that she's made. And by the way, you'll notice that in life as well. The person who really doesn't feel the need to prove themselves to you is often the one that you give more respect to anyway. All right, so let's see how this plays out.
I want to keep this professional between you and I. This is about your connection with Ben. And on this very stage tonight, you said you don't like being negative about people, right?
I said I wouldn't say anything negative behind someone's back that I hadn't said to their face.
Taryn, I will read you exactly what you said because I wrote it down knowing you were going to trip yourself up.
So at this point, I already have something locked and loaded. And the reason is this, and it's the same reason as what Steve suggested in his document when he wrote the first 5. Impact, influence, persuasion, it's all about being prepared before the event. In this case, I knew that there was a chance someone like Taryn might attack me. You're always entering the ring in a situation like this. So you don't go in unprepared and you don't go in ignorant. You know there are certain things that people say that might trip them up later. So in this case, I had written down certain things that I knew I might need later on. One of the things was what Taryn said, which I wrote down and made sure I had for a situation like this.
You said these exact words, it's not becoming to speak negatively about somebody. Now, when I speak to you on this stage, I'm not coming from a personal place, I can promise you that. I have nothing personally invested in making anyone here feel bad about themselves. But I do have to make comment on the relationship that you have and whether this serves this guy that we're trying to serve here. Because that's my ultimate aim at the end of the day.
Okay, so that's the end of the clip. I'm finishing it out by saying this isn't personal. I'm just trying to serve the people that I came here to help. As I said, there are many times in my life where I've completely gone wrong in a situation like this. Offended somebody, lost my own sense of class or dignity, became overly emotional. That's why, to me, understanding human behavior and how to navigate it is so important, because you may not be on a stage like this at any point in your life or on TV or on a horrible reality show, but what you might be is in the boardroom at work when your boss calls you out, or when a family member confronts you about something, or when someone tries to embarrass you in front of a group of people. You'll be in situations like that in life, and you'll want to know how to deal with it. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this play-by-play. I've really enjoyed doing this with you. It's unique. And I feel like you only really understand human behavior when you can break it down on this level. It gives us an actual walkthrough instead of just cliches and abstract theories. Tell me if you enjoyed it. I really would love to know if you want more of the stuff like this. And please, by the way, when you go back to this footage, in the comments, don't get into... You don't need to defend me on these points, and you don't need to bash her. This is a dumb reality show where people get wound up to say things that they don't really mean. And I'm sure she's a sweetheart in real life, and this isn't a video that's designed to foster any emotions in that sense. So please stay away from that. But I'm interested in whether you like this style of content and whether you'd like more of it. Please let me know. Is this useful to your life? From the reaction to Steve's guide, I think it probably will be. And by the way, that reminds me, if you haven't got Steve's guide yet, the first 5 minutes, go and download it right now. It's very, very powerful. It's an amazing thing to read before or after this, and does the same thing, but with an interview I did on radio, but with my brother's beautiful, eloquent writing, which I know you all love. So, Jameson, let's throw it up right now. Go download the first 5. If you can't click the link in the video, we'll link it up under the video as well. And I'll see you next week. Take care, guys.